Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the BlkWmnAnimator. Come back to you with another video. And in this video, I have Preston Mutanga. Welcome.
Hello, thanks. My name is Preston Mutanga. I'm 15 years old, and I really like animating. I animated a scene in the movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
And welcome to parental units.
Hi, I'm Giselle Mutanga, Preston's mom. I'm a public health inspector by profession, and I guess Preston has drawn me into animation as well. We love movies.
Hi, my name is Theodore Mutanga. I'm Preston's dad. We all love movies. I'm a medical physicist by profession. I work in cancer care, but we love to spend our Friday evenings watching different movies.
What do you love about animation?
What I like about animation is that how you can be extremely creative with it. You can like make anything that your mind can dream of. Like literally, your imagination is the limit.
What did your early projects look like?
My early projects consisted of like Pixar kind of in styled stuff. A lot of text animations, definitely a lot of text animations, and yeah, just me messing around with the software that I use, Blender, and just messing around with that.
I know your dad introduced you to Blender, so Dad, like, how are you using it in your work?
So I was doing a research project for a conference in Minnesota, Nashville it was. So that project involved doing something we call Monte Carlo simulations in medical physics. That's basically using computers to simulate how radiation would come out from the machines and be applied to a patient. So I was using Blender to model some of the pieces of the machine, which we call a linear accelerator, not the one in the Spider-Verse, not the collider, but something similar to those that kind of a machine where you smash electrons into a target and it produces photons, and you use the photons to treat cancer.
So where did you pick up from there, Preston, when you saw that?
Well, when he first explained it to me, that got me really interested. I started doing some research, and then I eventually found out that Blender could be used for animation. So I kind of just like took it off from there and really started playing with the software.
I know, like, of course, you had to start with modeling and animation stages, and then I know you went into the lighting and compositing stages. What space of learning are you in now? Like, what are you focusing on these days?
These days it's not really a specific thing. Like I'm kind of like learning all of them at once, kind of, like I just want to improve like all of them. But I kind of what I do want to like focus on more though is modeling, since I haven't done that a lot now because I mainly work with Lego and stuff, so there isn't much modeling required. But eventually, like occasionally I do some models.
Is 3D animation the only art you do?
No, actually, I do arts like 2D stuff. Pencil and paper, I actually have a Lego Spider-Man drawing like up there that I did a while ago. So yeah, I also I like doing drawing with like pencil crayons too.
Do you play any sports or have any other hobbies or interests?
Sports, no, I'm not really an outside person. Other hobbies I briefly sometimes like I used to play the piano, but then I kind of like stopped with that because I lost interest. But I might pick it up again or something.
You can start music composition. How does it feel to have parents that are supportive of your artistic endeavors?
It feels really, really good because, I like that my parents' message is that I can be like whatever I want to be, and they'll be supportive like no matter what. So.
And parents, like, how does it feel to have such an artistic kid, and what is the key to being supportive of that art?
I would say it's a blessing. Growing up for myself, you were groomed to go more in the sciences. So for me, it never occurred that, he has to become a medical doctor or whatever in that, field. And if you can see, Theo is more science-based. I'm more in the social sciences. But never occurred to me once. For me, it was more, I saw it as something special. I saw it as a gift. And not everyone is born that way. We are all born with different gifts and talents, right? But for him, it became natural. And I thought, oh, wow, at his young age, he's so gifted. And I think for me as a mom, was to build that and to encourage him in that, because he loved it so much that I thought, what other way what other way is there to make him be who he actually is than to support him. I think that's what myself and my husband, I'm grateful that he knows a lot more in I would say programming and things like that, which has gone a long way for Preston to be what he is, because he had to use a software that he had used from work. So yeah, it's I'm grateful that he's using his gift in the right way. And another thing is also people are being motivated. Kids his age have they don't see it as something like a dream. You can dream and it can come to reality, and you can actually work in your craft that you actually love, regardless of what branch or field you find yourself in.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, particularly with kids being interested in stuff that's like so untouchable, like animation, they're like, oh, I have to wait till I go to college to get involved. And Preston is showing that nope, you can do it now. We have access to so many like programs, and Blender is free, so you can get started now.
All right, yeah, that's really true. Because animation shouldn't just be limited for like to like old people or adults, or like it can be done by anyone, and
yeah,
this my story kind of reflects that.
As you said, you're most prominently known for animating the Lego scene in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. How did you get that opportunity?
I first got that opportunity to animate that scene when I remade the trailer for Across the Spider-Verse in Lego. Then Sony ended up seeing that, so they ended up like emailing me saying like, "Hey, would you want to get a quick introduction?" They weren't specific on what they wanted in the email. It was it literally said quick introduction. So we had to just join the meeting and see.
How does it feel to be recognized for your work?
I feel kind of accomplished, because I've been animating for a long time, so it's nice to see that people actually really like my work.
So for me, like as an adult, and looking back on my childhood of like how I could have used my time, do you feel like as a kid you're in a perfect position to spend time on your passion and get good at various skills? Because like you kind of have to go to school and then
you have to spend like class time studying, whatnot, doing homework. So
but like not having bills makes it
that also makes it easier. I'd say like the summer might be the perfect time sort of thing.
So that's when you go into like ultra mode and like
grind mode. Yeah. The summer of like 2022 was like really strong for me. I uploaded like a ton. I was uploading like video after video after video. It was a lot.
Nice. It took you 3 months in all to do the scene that you did,
right?
And the bulk of it you did during spring break. What would you say is the importance of like planning for you in doing your animated projects?
Planning definitely has a really important stage, because it sets down like the bare bones of what the final outcome is going to be. So for planning in the Across the Spider-Verse, I was provided storyboards. So I would follow them, not like extremely closely or whatever, but like kind of vaguely. They told me to like I didn't have to like go super on model with it. Like I could kind of like run off with it and do my own thing.
Nice. And parents, what do you think as Preston's parents? What do you think of his journey thus far?
I think it's been pretty amazing. Nothing we ever imagined. But I think the key is that we see that he enjoys what he's doing, and I think that's that's all we really ask for. Like, we as working parents, you want to get up every day doing what you actually love. Doesn't matter what it is, but you love what you're doing. And that's what we see. So I think from my perspective, he's already achieving that. And we can only see that becoming, more and more part of, his his career in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, the most amazing thing is, he loves what he's doing.
To be honest with you, sometimes I pinch myself because as a young child, again, looking at myself, where I was 15 years when I was his age, I had no idea what I was going to become. It is so incredible that he already picked out what he wanted to do. I know things may change, but he's been consistent, I would say, in his journey, and he's grown tremendously. And I think that is something that I look, even though he's my son, I think I can learn from him. It's not the other way around. We can both pick up something and, applied it to our lives. I remember telling him, Preston, you've set the bar so high. Sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, okay, what is there that I could work at? So I'm just overwhelmed, and I'm so grateful that he's kept that pace and challenges himself. And I think, like I said, he set the bar so high that I think the next thing is like, what else going to do that is bigger than what he did before, right? So not to say that you want to deprive him from the joy of being a child still, right? But then he just pushes himself to do even more. Again, the foundation is there. It's something that he loves and enjoys, so it doesn't really deter him from being something that he doesn't really want to do, because it's something that he loves. So I'm just happy that he's on the right path, and expect nothing but the best, and more for him to come.
So Preston, a lot of your animations you do by yourself, but like, what did you learn about collaboration being important in animation from the things you've done?
Well, I've learned that with collaboration, you can achieve a lot more, because like if it's just one single person doing an entire movie, it would take like a lot longer than around 4 years. But also in general, like it's good to get feedback from other people, because if you're just looking at it through your own eyes, it might be a little bit biased. So it's nice to see other people's point of views on what you're working on.
So from your time doing animations by yourself, what would you say is the most important thing to keep in mind so you can be like, what advice can you give people so they can be more realistic with what they want to do and not get overwhelmed?
What I'd say, if you don't want to get overwhelmed, would be to start off like realistically, kind of like what you said, like small. Yeah, like don't start off trying to make like a full-blown movie. Like if you're just like completely new to Blender or any software, or like what you wouldn't like just go off and be like, hey, I'm gonna make a full movie by myself in a matter of hours. Like that's unrealistic. That's not gonna happen. So I'd say like start off small, then build your way from there. And when you're better, then you can start thinking, maybe I'm good enough to animate in a movie. Still not like making a movie by yourself, though.
So
I don't
setting
think that's
small
possible.
goals, right?
Right, yeah, goals, setting goals.
Yeah. What would you say is the most challenging thing about working on your projects?
What I'd say is the most challenging is that it takes quite a bit of time to do them sometimes. It's like I sit on my computer while I'm making those animations for like hours, like a lot of hours. So, it might be like a little demotivating at first, because like sometimes I don't make the amount of progress that I'd want to, and it's a little disheartening. But you will get there.
So you want to direct your own projects. What kind of content do you want to produce?
Honestly, I'm kind of into like all of it, like live action, animation. I'm into learning all those kind of forms.
Parents, what would you say is, and you've said it a little bit, but what would you say is your philosophy on encouraging your child to follow their dreams, and what advice can you give to other parents?
I think I mentioned before, like what I say and what I saw from my parents, is just to let the child drive, right? Like let them show you what they're interested in, and then you come in and provide, anything that they need. I remember, saying to myself, I ended up being a medical physicist, but my dad, who sadly passed away a few years ago, he would never imagine that, if I told him I'm going to be a medical physicist, he would say, yeah, if you like it, go ahead. But he didn't even know what that was. So the same thing I applied, when Preston said, he's interested in this. I wanted to use Blender. He wanted to use Blender. He asked for, I think it was one of my old work computers. I had to install Blender on it and loaded it up and put it downstairs, put it in his room, and just let him work. And little did we know that he would take it to the heights he's taken it. So I just put together the computer, let it put it in the room, and he was just day in day out he was building stuff. So it's like you see what they're doing, you try to encourage them in whatever way you can, really.
Right. Right. And I would say to add, for us as a parent, in as much as we say, oh, you support what they love, what they want to do, it has to make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean somebody will come with some bizarre idea. I don't know what that may be. And then you just go ahead and support. And also some of the things that we did to contribute to his craft and to have him have the focus that he has right now is because from a very young age, as parents, there were certain things that we put in place, like the time he spends on TV, the things that like we provide for him during like playtime. Not to say that watching TV is not a good idea, but what he consumes on a daily basis. So for us, we rather, there were some things that we introduced at a very late stage in his life, and say like video games and stuff like that. And one of the things we didn't like to have that when he was very young, because we thought that it would deter him from actually developing his anything that he has in him. We thought, I don't know, but we just felt that him focusing on something that will help him is better than him fixating on wasting time
some kind of
on
game
some kind of game that doesn't really, not being productive, we'll say. So we find something around his likes, but then we make it in such a way it's fun for him, and that he wouldn't see it as he would see it would be interesting, but then he would learn from it. So again, I know it's deviating from Preston, but we have two other kids, right? And they are all different. Just like Gabby, for example. I know we are talking about Preston. But the way, for example, Gabby is somebody that builds stuff. She's adventurous and stuff like that. She likes sciences. She likes planes and all that stuff. So now Gabby is into cadets because then it helps her to actually get to do the things that she likes. She does have a video game, but she's independent. So she has specific time that she spends on it, and she's trying to like build her own game, because you know what I mean. So again, I'm just saying that as parents, we find what you like and we try to build something out of it in a good way, I would say, and try to avoid them spending time on things that are less productive, I would say. So it has helped eventually.
Nice.
To think out of the box.
Preston, what would you say is something people would be surprised to know about you?
I don't really have anything else that I'm hiding. I'd say the most surprising thing else was like that piano thing I already mentioned. So not much else.
Preston, what do you hope for the future of animation as far as innovation, storylines, characters, etc.?
For the future of animation, I definitely like where it's going right now. Like Spider-Verse and inspiring other studios to differ away from the realistic style and go towards something more creative. Because like it's animation, you don't need to make something look one-to-one with real life. Like it's impressive that I can see like that now in animation we can see like every dust particle flying through the air. But also, do I really need to see that?
Listen to this kid. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So, we have access to Blender, cameras on our phones, YouTube, endless websites, and resources. Preston, what would you suggest people take advantage of in this current landscape, similar to what you're doing?
The software Blender, definitely use that if you're interested in any kind of 3D animation, because it's so innovative, it's so useful. Like it's like treasure sitting right there where everyone can get it. And I feel like it should get like a lot more attention.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. That's the best part.
Yes.
It's the freest thing after free beer.
So, Mom, can you repeat what you say you do for a living?
I'm a public health inspector. I work for the city of Toronto.
Again, we've mentioned this before. Across the African diaspora, there are kids whose parents want them to be doctor, lawyer, engineer. What would you say to those parents is the potential of a child pursuing the arts, particularly animation, that you've seen firsthand?
I think this is something that we have talked about a lot in our household. Like early on, we've always had this mentality, similar to other parents. We would like our kids to be, especially we're both in healthcare, right? Like we thought, we could someday like our kids to be in there. But, as soon, and that was before we had kids. But then once we had kids, we started finding out, oh, these are people with very different, they can go whatever direction they're going. You have really not too much you can control about it. So I think we found out that it's best if you let them, pick the direction they want to go rather than you imposing something on them. And we found that in Preston, not only with animation, but in other things, right? Like is not the kind of person who would likes to be imposed on, so it's you get a much nicer experience with your kids if you don't, impose things on them in that sense. So I would say, for parents, again, look at where their interests may lie and try to guide them in whatever way you can.
And to add, art is not a bad thing anyway. They're one of the most intelligent people on earth are people that are artistic. So looking at, I know the world is evolving, there is a vast majority, there are so many opportunities that you could use arts for. And who would have known that animation would have gone to the level that it is right now, and people make a living out of it, right? It not necessarily animation, but there are different branches in arts that people are actually excelling, and the market for it is high. It's just that people are not aware of.
Yeah, and then just because you mentioned that, like we've had a sort of a front row seat into a lot of how the arts and the movies and animation, how they function. And sometimes, we joke and we say we were actually in the wrong profession. So I would say, this is probably a very interesting field where, art has so much to offer. There's acting, there's animation, there's directing. All of those are so fun. Like we've seen people having so much fun and we're like, hey, maybe we're in the wrong field.
And I think you thrive more when you get to do what you actually love.
Yeah.
It's succeeding. It's you have a higher percentage rate of succeeding because you love it. I remember when Preston started, when we created his YouTube channel, and one thing I told him, I said, Preston, don't go in for the views. Don't go in for, of course, we all want to grow, and we all, at some point you want to be recognized, you want to be acknowledged, don't get me wrong. But if you're going in, and the thing is, the YouTube thing was never even for the money or for whatever. It was just a channel for him to grow, for him to put out what he loves doing, right, and get better at it. So, then it came, and then people started subscribing and all that. Sometimes it might take it might kind of like get you excited, which is good, but then you have to be careful, with the fan base and all that. Don't be don't be carried and forget yourself. So sometimes it might then distract you from actually your intentions in the beginning. And I remember telling him, don't make sure you have, because you love what you do, it's like a hobby to you, right? You would succeed because you would wake up every day looking forward to doing that thing, looking forward to creating movies, rather than you waking up and checking, okay, how many subscribers did I have? How many people are reviewing? Of course, we like to make things and have people see it, but then it should not be your priority right now. It's for you to grow and make things that you will be known or recognized for, and look after and love your work. People that will identify with you, they will always follow you and they will always find you. And look at us right now, a year later. Over 400,000 subscribers. So his work speaks for itself, and because he enjoyed doing it, it's not like it's not tiring, or he's not discouraged, because regardless if people watch it or not, he's still gonna get up and do his thing and enjoy it, right? So the people that will love it will find him.
Yeah, I agree. Even with my channel, of staying on what is my goal, because people always comment on how long my videos are, which I don't care. I understand that. I understand that people have short attention spans, but I'm serving a higher purpose than your short attention span. So, the videos are gonna be as long as they need to be.
It shouldn't dictate how what content you decided to put the content out, right?
So Preston, what are 3 movies you'd recommend to my audience, or TV shows, and why? And they don't have to be animated, but they can,
Yeah. All right. So, movie, Spider-Man 2. I'm a Spider-Man fan, so it may be a little bit biased, but I just really like how the story is in this one, where it mainly focuses on Peter Parker balancing his regular life and being Spider-Man. Just him like being torn apart, whether he's really fit for the job. One TV show, Breaking Bad. I feel like this one kind of goes without saying, but it's a masterpiece with everything that goes with it. The ending is literally the best ending of anything. Honestly, it's perfect. And the characters they're really good. Like the writing and everything is it's really insane how good it is. Another TV show, Stranger Things. I also really like the characters in this one, like how everyone bounces off of each other, and they really know how to end the season. It's really good. Then another movie, let's see, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Can't forget that.
I was gonna say
any of the Spider-Verse movies,
I think you can back. Spider-Man Across the
Yeah, any Spider-Verse movies, they're like that one also goes without saying how perfect they are.
Particularly with your scene. Your scene is the piece de resistance. But like when you're talking about good writing, that as a 3D professional, I was kind of getting disappointed in the industry, because people are like, oh, I love 2D, 3D, and I'm like, and then the companies are like doing it wrong. I'm like, why do y'all keep like we could be better than this? And then when Into the Spider-Verse came out, I was like, it wasn't just the visuals, it was the storytelling too, and the innovation. So it was like all in one. It was like a gumbo. Preston, if someone was producing a documentary about your life thus far, what things would you want them to highlight about your life outside of your work in animation?
Definitely like the progression, like the progression stage, how it goes from like 0 to hero, like you would start improving, because I think it's important perseverance, like the struggles and whatnot, because I think it's important to show that it's not just easy, like you don't just immediately like wake up the next day and be like, I'm going to be the most famous person in the world. Like, that's not how it works. You know, you have to work for it. You really have to work for it.
Mm-hmm. And parents, what do you hope for the future of your children, based on your principles of parenting?
Well, as parents, we all want our kids to be successful, to be productive citizens, to enjoy life, and to, one day, have their own kids and impart, what they've learned from their parents. Because a lot of what we impart on our kids, we learn from our parents. And, that's how the cycle continues.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope, that whatever we teach them will be something that they will keep and apply in their own life, and that's how we have a better society. Actually, it all starts from raising children that have certain principles, and they grow up and they apply those principles in life, and they impart that on the future generation, and it keeps going.
Yeah, I think he said it all, and we can see that also from Preston's siblings. They are picking up on, because he's the first. He's my first child and my only son, and I think from the things he's done, he's been like a role model to them. They are actually tapping off. I don't know if that's the right word to use. They are learning and picking up the good things, by his example. I remember the other day when we celebrated his 15th birthday, I was surprised. Gabby said that. And I was like, okay, because Gabby said, thank you, Preston, for inspiring us. Now we love art, we are into art and all that, because you actually started that. You showed us the way. There are other things they do as individuals, but it's nice to know that, from him, he's like holding that baton, and he's running to make sure that by the time he's handing it over to the next person keeps on, and that's how the progression continues in a good way. So it is rewarding to see, and we can only hope that, like my husband said, they grow up to be better people. Other people can learn from them in a good way, and their contribution to society, it's in a positive way and not in any negative way whatsoever. I know any parent, would want that for their child.
For a topic like animation, the reason I started my channel is because you don't have like your friendly neighborhood animation professional. And so what could you say to parents who are they want to support their child, but they have absolutely no clue what their child, like their child is interested in something, but they have no idea what it is? Like what advice could you give to parents about tapping into that?
I would say, you as a parent, you're the best steward of your child. You spend time with them, really. Like, that's one key thing. Like my dad, that's one thing I learned from him. You have to spend time with your children, and in that time, within that time you're spending with them, you will know what their interests lie, where their interests lie. So I would say, make that time to be around. I know it's hard for some parents who work, and they have to do other things, but I think your kids should be your priority, and you should endeavor to be around them, and soon enough you will learn where their interests lie.
Preston, what are your social media handles so people can follow you?
My Twitter is FG_artist. My YouTube is LegoMe_the OG. My Instagram is LegoMeReal.
So thank you, Preston and parents, for letting me highlight you all. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me and us.
Thank you, Deb. We appreciate you.
We
and for
appreciate
that which you do as well.
And to everyone out there, I want you to like So I Know It's Real, comment and tell me how you feel, subscribe to Citadel, sign up for post notifications to show your zeal, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Thank you.